Hello, Professor Horton. This is Marcina Luby with my Unit 6 PowerPoint presentation. Um, my first slide is about environmental influences of offenders, patterns, and trends. My second slide has the definitions of patterns, which is two or more acts or criminal incidences. And the trends are a significant change in a selected crime and how it's carried out, usually meaning the time or place is changed. Slide 3 is my education. Usually education can be an environmental influence by a lower class, maybe not being wealthy enough to attend a public school, which most public schools are free depending, or a higher school for that matter. Dropping out of school can play a fairly decent amount on how the offender can react in a certain situation. Bullying at school is hard for a lot of children. It can cause the offender to react out on maybe those people, including them as victims. Education can be a really big reason as to why offenders act out. Um, they have little to no knowledge of certain incidences that happen in the real world. Lack of money, poorly ran school. The offender can also drop out of school, which could also cause issues. It could be because of bullying, which is could set off that chain reaction. In the manner of a criminal incident. Drugs and alcohol, anger, depression, anxiety, all can be stemmed from drugs and alcohol, as well as social separation. These the offender could being on drugs and alcohol can cause the offender to be in a completely altered state of mind. This state of mind can vary depending on the drug and the form of the drug, as well as how much was ingested. Drugs and alcohols can also cause distancing from friends and family and can alter the way that one fits in the social world. Anger, depression, and anxiety can be a very harmful cocktail, so to speak, not only for the individual but for those around him, because it can set off this internal bomb that will set him aside from the rest of the world, and can cause him to go out and use that anger and depression and anxiety that's built up to harm others, whether it be burglary or home invasions or homicide for that matter. Continuing on to social media. Social media is like a major glorification process for an offender. It can be whether the offender perceives the social media as giving him praise. He can also get victims from social media. Cyberbullying is very, very, very huge when it comes to um, offenders and choosing their victims. There could also be copycats for the crime that's being because of leaking information onto social media, or the offender could choose to access social media and brag about what he has done, the crime or something that he's about to do for that matter. video games, there's a lot of violence and not just regular violence, also gang violence, using certain weapons to kill somebody, and the language, the profanity is absolutely outrageous when it comes to video games. The blood, the gore, the way the video game could be perceived from the offender standpoint is also dangerous. They bring out the worst um, possible scenarios while the offender or even a child is playing. Um, I know that my son has video games, and with these video games, at his dad's house, he's able to play the violent games, and just the way that he himself, with being younger and having Asperger's, he thinks it's cool. And maybe the offender thinks it's cool. Maybe the offender is putting himself in that position thinking that he is the one that could be carrying out this horrific crime and glorifying it by this video game, and now it's set in his mind and he goes and does it because of something that has happened. Maybe the being burglarized is from a video game, could be a mindset on a video game, or children going to school and being bullied at school, and now they're coming home and playing these games and they're shooting people because they feel that they're picturing this person that bullied them at school. Video games are an absolute horrific way to start kids out or offenders out, those with either a mental illness or a um, a low IQ, or even anxiety and depression, as I spoke about before. It could use that. They could use that and actual bring out what they feel is reality from these games. With that being said, this is my presentation, and all of my references are in slide 7 and 8. Thank you, Professor.